For thousands of years, one disease struck fear like no other, leprosy, the whispering disease, a shadow in the ancient city. For thousands of years, one disease stood apart. It cast a long shadow across the sun-baked stones of ancient cities. It whispered in the crowded marketplaces and echoed in the hushed halls of power. People feared it more than many others, more than a swift and deadly fever. The disease we now call leprosy touched bodies and minds in equal measure. It left its disfiguring marks upon the skin, and etched even deeper marks upon the pages of human history. It was an illness that became more than an illness. It became a test of faith, a reason for law. Section 2, Echoes in Papyrus and Stone, the First Traces. The story of leprosy does not begin in one place. Its origins are ancient. Its first records are scattered across the cradles of civilization like forgotten seeds. The first whispers come from many lands carried in the oldest surviving texts. In India, ancient Sanskrit writings from as early as 600 BCE describe a skin condition. The Sushruta Samhita records detailed observations. Pale patches on the skin, numb patches, deformities that could follow. They suggest remedies involving herbs and oils, showing people tried to understand and treat it. In the warm lands of ancient Egypt, evidence is etched in stone and painted on tomb walls. Skeletons from the 2nd century BCE show bone damage. Some researchers interpret Egyptian art as showing afflicted individuals. These bones and images confirm the written accounts. It was a silent traveler on the trade routes that connected empires. Camel caravans, merchant ships on mighty seas. It followed the paths of armies, pilgrims, explorers. Far to the east, in ancient China, medical texts from the 3rd century BCE describe Li Feng. Loss of eyebrows, a flattened nose, numb extremities. As the disease spread, fear grew faster than the illness itself. Without scientific understanding, societies turned to supernatural explanations. Those explanations brought a crushing social stigma. People with leprosy were not treated simply as sick. They were treated as outcasts. They were treated as symbols of impurity. They were treated as people marked by divine disfavor. Ancient laws, born from fear, mandated cruel isolation. This was more than a medical quarantine, it was social death. A forced separation from everything and everyone. In many places, the diagnosed were required to leave their home and town forever. They were condemned to exile, living on society's margins, in caves, in forests, in desolate areas outside the city walls. To warn others, they had to wear special identifying clothing, or carry a bell, or carry a wooden clapper. The bell's sound became a mournful symbol, sending healthy people scattering. They were forbidden from touching others, forbidden from entering a church, forbidden from entering a marketplace, often forbidden even to speak to the uninfected. Religious texts helped cement this stigma. Some holy books depicted leprosy as a consequence of sin, or as a physical sign of spiritual impurity. Priests were given power to diagnose, examining suspicious spots on the skin. This blurred medicine and morality. Health became religious judgment. Rituals, not remedies, were prescribed to declare clean or unclean. These beliefs shaped societies for millennia. Section 4, The Bell in the Cloister, Medieval Europe's Response. When leprosy became more common in medieval Europe, arriving with returning crusaders, and along bustling trade routes, the response was a complex mixture of institutionalized fear and profound faith. The deep-seated stigma from ancient times took on a new life, reinforced by secular law and religious doctrine. The person with leprosy was often seen as legally and spiritually dead. In some regions, a formal ceremony was held mirroring a funeral mass. The afflicted would stand in an open grave and be declared separate from the world of the living. They were given their leper's kit, the bell, the cloak, the begging bowl, and sent away from their community. This institutionalized fear manifested in the creation of thousands of special houses for the sick. These institutions were called leper houses, lazar houses, leprosaria. They were established on the outskirts of towns and cities across the continent. Their primary function was segregation, to keep the sick contained and separated from the healthy population, to protect the community from what was perceived as a physical and moral contagion. The existence of these houses became a stark and visible reminder of the disease, a permanent architectural feature of the medieval landscape dedicated to isolation. Yet within this landscape of fear, a different response took root, born of Christian duty and compassion. The cloister became a prison and a sanctuary. For millennia, the true cause of leprosy remained a profound mystery hidden from human eyes. This long night of ignorance began to end in the 19th century with the rise of modern science and the microscope. The pivotal breakthrough came in 1873. Gerhard Armauer Hansen in Bergen. He spent years patiently studying tissue samples from skin nodules. Under his microscope, he repeatedly saw something no one had seen before: tiny, rod-shaped bodies inside the cells. He concluded these were the cause. Hansen had discovered the bacterium behind leprosy. It was later named Mycobacterium leprae. The discovery was revolutionary. It shifted understanding away from curses, sins, divine punishment to biology. The cause was not moral failing or imbalance of humors. It was a specific microbe. Scientists learned Mycobacterium leprae grows incredibly slowly. That explained why symptoms can appear after years or even decades. Further research revealed the bacterium is not highly contagious. More than 95% of people have natural immunity. It cannot be passed through casual contact, a handshake, or sharing a meal. This stood in stark contrast to centuries of terror and isolation. Old myths began to crumble. Fear of touching, the hereditary curse belief, the idea of divine wrath, all were proven false. Science gave a new narrative, a difficult-to-transmit germ that could be defeated by medicine. The discovery of the bacterium was the beginning, but the road to an effective cure was long. For decades after Hansen's work, the only widely used treatment was chalmugra oil, an ancient remedy from India. It was painful to inject and only moderately effective, but it offered the first glimmer of medical hope. The real transformation began in the 1940s with sulfone drugs, specifically dapsone. For the first time, doctors had a reliable medicine that could attack Mycobacterium leprae. Patients who were once condemned to a lifetime of slow decline could now be treated. In the 1980s, an even more powerful approach was developed. YTT inbalwanti inti mau mai bronchichi therapy, MDT. This combination included dapsone, rifampicin, clofazimine. The history of leprosy is also a history of human movement. The disease did not spread on its own. It was carried in the bodies of people as they traveled the globe. By mapping historical prevalence and studying bacterial genetics, we can trace ancient pathways of migration, trade, conquest. The map of leprosy's spread is a map of human connection, radiating from Africa or Asia across history's great currents, following humanity into every inhabited corner. Great trade networks, maritime routes, war, and pilgrimage opened fresh opportunities for expansion. Each introduction brought fear, stigma, and isolation. Even as medicine has conquered the bacterium, the long shadow lingers in our language and our laws. The very concept of quarantine and specialized hospitals owes much to medieval leprosaria, institutions that evolved into modern public health. Today, the ancient scourge is curable. The goal is to heal the wounds of stigma and restore dignity. Leprosy's story is one of fear, faith, and resilience, proof that even the most stigmatized diseases can be overcome. Subscribe to Anatomy of the Past for more strange medical stories.